Good afternoon, class. Today we are going to discuss regarding anxiety disorder, part 2. The previous class also we had discussed regarding anxiety disorder by Dr. Rahul. Today we are going to cover on OCD, generalized anxiety disorder, and social phobias. So coming to the OCD. So OCD is nothing but obsessive compulsive disorder. It has two components, obsessions and compulsions. So what is obsession? Obsession are repeated thoughts, images, or impulses which are arising from their own mind, which are irrational and are difficult to dismiss or control. And the person or the individual knows they are their own thoughts and causes lot of distress. Compulsions are repetitive behavioral responses which occur in response to obsession. So, obsessions can be in the form of contamination, checking, or thoughts. So, it can be thoughts, images, or impulses that repeatedly occur to become out of one's own control. The person suffering from these obsession finds them to be intrusive and very disturbing and recognizes they don't make any sense. Obsessions often accompanied by uncomfortable feelings such as fear, disgust, or doubt. For example, people with OCD may worry excessively about dirt and germs and obsessed with the idea that they are contaminated. Compulsions are the acts that are continually performed to provide the relief from discomfort caused by the obsessions. For example, the person can have a repetitive thoughts about contamination and the compulsion to repeatedly go and wash the hands. So here in that contamination is a obsession and washing the hands can be a compulsive act. OCD compulsions do not give the person pleasure unlike your drinking or gambling. For example, a person may repeatedly check to see if their stove was left on in fear of burning the house. WHO lists OCD as one of the five major causes of disability throughout the world. It is considered the fourth most common psychiatric condition, ranking after phobias, substance abuse disorder, and major mood disorder. The majority of the patients with OCD have both obsession and compulsion, and some may have only obsession and some may have only compulsion. Most patients that realize the irrational nature of their thoughts and rituals but feel helpless and hopeless about controlling them. When does the OCD begin? It can begin anywhere from preschool age to adulthood. It affects both male and female equally. There is no gender bias in this. The mean age of onset is about 20 years, but cases have been reported in children as young as 2 years. On average, people with OCD see 3 to 4 doctors and would be coming to a diagnosis of OCD only most of the time after 9 years. So, most of them would be doing doctor shopping, would be visiting the temples, going to the faith healers without any improvement, and finally, they'll end up with the psychiatrist. Boys are more likely to have prepubertal onset and a family member with OCD or a Tourette syndrome. Girls are more likely to have onset of OCD during adolescence. The common obsessions that are seen clinically are contamination fears of germs or dirt, imagining having harmed self or others, imagining losing control of aggressive urges, intrusive sexual thoughts or urges, excessive religious or moral doubt, forbidden thoughts, a need to have things just so, a need to tell, ask, and to confess. The common compulsions that are observed clinically are washing, repeating, checking, touching, counting, ordering or arranging, hoarding or saving, or praying. So, as many psychiatric disorders, this also can be treated in a form of pharmacotherapy and psychotherapy. The pharmacotherapy benefit can be seen after 2 to 16 weeks. The most common drugs that are used are SSRI in the form of fluoxamine, fluoxetine, escitalopram, and tricyclic antidepressants in the form in what we use in OCD are clomipramine. Other drugs that are used for OCD are risperidone, venlafaxine, and bispirone. Behavior therapy in the form of exposure response prevention, thought stopping, flooding, desensitization, and others in the form of surgery are seen. In exposure and response prevention, what we do is like we expose the individual to those obsessive thoughts. For example, we'll ask the patient to touch the table and we prevent the response. The response would be to go and wash the hand. So we ask them to form a hierarchical table that will increase their anxiety. So we first initially may begin with just touching the table and preventing him from going and washing the hand, then the doorknob, then the walls, then going to the hospital and touching the chairs, then the railings, the beds. So we are preventing the response that the individual may develop. So that is how we try to do in ERP, which is known as ERP, exposure and response prevention. In thought stopping, the individuals are aware that the thoughts that are repeatedly occurring are irrational and arising from their own mind. So, what we ask them to do whenever these disturbing thoughts arise in their mind or start creeping up, we ask them to say loudly stop, or in the mind to say stop, or we ask them to have a rubber band on their wrist and pull it tightly. That will be painful stimuli and that would deviate the individual from having these type of thought. It is nothing but your distraction. Flooding, in which we will ask them to have this thing, like if the thoughts of contamination are coming, we ask them to flood it with those thoughts itself. The human nature is such that they can go to the peak of anxiety and then it settles down. So once you are anxious and it reaches the threshold, and after that it has to come down. Desensitization is something like your hierarchy formation of ARP. Now coming to the next disorder, which is again very common, seen in OPDs very often, that is generalized anxiety disorder. Their persistent anxiety and worry that is out of proportion to actual events or circumstances. It's a chronic and disabling condition. The mean age of onset is 21 years and female to male ratio is 2 is to 1. The biological causes are noradrenergic involvement of noradrenergic nervous system, HPA axis, and amygdala. So, dysfunctioning of these three things can lead to GAD. Noradrenergic nervous system is involved with the body's response to threat. Diminished autonomic nervous system responsiveness in GAD. HPA axis dysfunction in the form of reduction in normal regulatory control of cortisol secretion. Amygdala, it can fail to detect, it can be hyper aroused and may have faulty detection of threats, mobilization of defensive responses. Behavioral inhibition system, neuronal loop connecting hippocampus, mammillary bodies, thalamus, and cortex. It interrupts ongoing behavior, redirects persons' attention to signs of danger. It receives the information about environment from sensory cortex, checks information with stored data and consistency with immediate goals, results in cluster of emotional and behavioral effects of anxiety, sustained activation of behavioral inhibition system results in GAD. The psychological causes can be in the form of stressful life events where there may be early parental death, dysfunctional marital and family relationship, parenting, that is overprotection, excessive control, and lack of warmth can be, and critical parents can lead to GAD. Clinical features: persistent excessive worry out of proportion to actual events, pervasive to all life circumstances, involved minor or everyday matters, example, work and health. Focus of worry shifts from one concern to another. It is very difficult to control these anxiety arising thoughts. Impairment in important areas of person's life. It occurs in the most of the days for 6 months. Symptoms in the form of restlessness, being on edge, feeling easily fatigued, difficulty in concentration, irritability, muscle tension, sleep disturbances. Others like autonomic symptoms in the form of chest and abdominal symptoms, cognitive symptoms. So, like in a panic attack, they can have shortness of breath. The person becomes anxious. There can be muscle tension, again, shortness of breath, tiredness, and it becomes a vicious cycle. Thinking that the person is having an MI or something, the person can become more anxious. We need to rule out the medical causes, the cardiac causes like arrhythmias and heart failure, which can also present with the similar symptoms. Endocrine causes like hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism, hypoglycemia. Respiratory disorders like asthma, COPD, hyperventilation. Drugs like beta blockers, benzodiazepines, antihypertensive, and anesthetics. The treatment again can be two forms in the form of pharmacotherapy and psychotherapy. Pharmacotherapy like benzodiazepines in the form of lorazepam, clonazepam, clobazam can be used. They are fast acting, more effective for somatic symptoms. They are sedative and myorelaxant. Bispirone is an anxiolytic non-sedative drug. The response is seen in 2 to 4 weeks. Venlafaxine, duloxetine, and pregabalin can also be used in GAD. Psychological way of managing the patients is CBT, that is cognitive behavior therapy, relaxation training in the form of deep breathing exercises, and biofeedback. In biofeedback, we attach the individual with the multiple wires which will assess their pulse rate, respiratory rate, GSR, and EEG will be monitored. In this, to put it in a simple word, we train the person with the anxiety disorder that they can control their autonomic arousal. They can control their respiratory rate, heart rate by doing certain relaxation exercises. Coming to social phobia, Phobos was a Greek term taken from a Greek god who frightened one's enemies. The Phobos came to mean fear or panic. Phobia first appeared as a medical terminology when hydrophobia was used to describe clinical features of rabies. Phobia is defined as an excessive fear of a specific object, circumstances, or situation. Social phobia is an anxiety disorder characterized by a strong, persistent fear of social or performance situations in which the patient might feel embarrassed or humiliated, thereby causing considerable distress and inability to function. Generalized diffuse social phobia refers to phobic avoidance of most social situations. Non generalized circumscribed specific discrete social phobia refers to a fear of only one type of situation, such as speaking in public, urinating in a public restroom, that is, shy bladder, meeting new people, attending social gatherings. The ICT criteria says that they are centered around a fear of scrutiny by other people in comparatively small groups, usually leading to avoidance of social situations, which in extreme cases may lead to almost complete social isolation. The diagnostic guidelines are the psychological, behavioral, and autonomic symptoms must be primarily manifestations of anxiety and not secondary to other symptoms such as delusions or obsessional thoughts. The anxiety must be restricted to or predominate in particular social situations. The phobic situation is avoided wherever possible. Males and females are equally affected. Age of onset, the peak age of onset is in the teens, although onset is common as young as 5 years and as old as 35 years of age. Most common among higher education and higher economic status. The triggering factors for social SID or the triggering situations can be meeting new people, being the center of attention, being watched while doing something, making small talk, public speaking, performing on stage, being teased or criticized, talking with important people or authority figures, being called on in class, going on a date, making phone calls, using public bathrooms, taking exams, eating or drinking in public, speaking up in meeting, attending parties or other social gatherings. Psychological symptoms of social phobia are intense worry for days, weeks, or even months before an upcoming social situation, extreme fear of being watched or judged by others, especially people that are not known, excessive self conscious and anxiety in everyday social situations, fear that they in ways will embarrass or humiliate others, fear that others will notice that they are nervous, avoidance of social situation to a degree that limits their activities. The physical symptoms of social phobia can be in the form of panic attacks whenever they get exposed to the social situations, in the form of pounding heart or tight chest, shaky voice, rapid breathing, sweating or hot flushes, upset stomach, nausea, increased bowel movements, dry mouth, trembling or shaking, blushing, dizziness, feeling fainty sensation. The comorbidity between anxiety and depression is commonly found, and we have seen that 40 to 70% of this anxiety disorder can have comorbid depression or secondary depression. The differential diagnosis like panic disorder, agoraphobia, schizophrenia, major depression, substance abuse, and dependence personality disorder has to be ruled out. Treatment, again, the pharmacological treatment and the psychological treatment. Pharmacotherapy, we use SSRI. We need to consider the side effects in the form of the GIT symptoms or CNS symptoms. The other drugs that are used as MAO inhibitors, beta blockers, and benzodiazepines. The psychotherapy in the form of supportive psychotherapy, CBT, and desensitizations are helpful in social phobia. Thank you.